G'day folks, it's the Meeple Monkey here again. So we're in the middle of a gameplay series here for Deep Space D6 Armada. If you've seen the first video, that was a bit of a rules explanation and a setup getting us ready to take off. And so this is the first of the gameplay video. So if you weren't scared off by that sort of rambling start, well, things don't get much better in this next one in terms of rambling, but hopefully you'll enjoy the gameplay. We get to see a little bit of how the game sort of hangs together with some away missions and a little bit of fleet combat as well. So I hope you enjoy. All right, thanks guys. Let us know in the comments how you're liking it. So the way the game generally works is that you have I think it's called the planning phase first, then the encounter phase. So each time you have a planning phase, an encounter phase, and then I think there's a resolution phase. And if we have a look here at this card here, let's have a look. Yep, so we have, oh, there we go. I don't know if you can read that. The planning phase, the encounter phase, and the resolution phase. So in the planning phase, this is where you can move around the galaxy, you can repair your ship, you can trade. So if you're playing the multiplayer game, you can swap weapons and equipment and crew with other players. You can also buy equipment for your ship at the different planets that have specifically, they need to have these shipyards on them. So not every planet has a shipyard. So you need to visit a shipyard to buy and or reconfigure your module. So you can swap modules out and move them around, rearrange them. And you can also hire crew, and that's done at the way stations. So again, not all planets or moons have the way stations, but if you are at one, you can hire some crew if you've got the money for it. Okay, so that's what we're going to do now. We'll go into the planning phase. So I start the game, I'm not damaged in any way, so I don't need to worry about repairing. There's no one for me to trade with. So really my options at this stage, if we look at Terra, it's only got a way station on it. So if I do want to upgrade my ship, I'm going to need to travel to another planet to get some extra modules. Otherwise, at this stage, I've got some money. So I'm thinking maybe what I'll do is I'll stay at Terra. I won't use my movement to move away from Terra at this stage. I'm going to make use of the way station. And if I'm going to buy something from the crew deck, if I'm going to hire some crew, I draw the top three cards off the deck and have a look at those. And then we'll see what I get. And then if I can buy one, I'll purchase one. And I'm thinking I might even just not use my second action in the planning phase. You always get two actions in the planning phase. Because I do want to make it a priority to at least complete one of these events at the planet, just so that Terra doesn't get overrun from the get-go. So let's have a look at these cards here. I've got Hercule for 5. Now, essentially, I can't buy Hercule because he's worth 5, and I've only got 4 credits, but we'll have a look at him anyway. So he's a veteran of war and conflict. There we go. Oops, that glare is not great. He's a veteran of war and conflict. Hercule has fought on both sides of the same endless wars. Survive mode. When attempting an escape action, so you can, if you're getting beaten up by the enemies, you can try and escape from them before getting destroyed. When attempting an escape action, you may re-roll any number of times. Okay, so I believe to escape, you have to, there's a special escape sort of tactic card that you can use, and you have to, I think, trigger engineering like once or twice on that card. So this allows you to more likely get that result that you need, so you can escape safely. And then all of these heroes, they come with a specific dice that we get to add to our pool, and this is going to be a blue colored dice that has 3 of these leadership or command symbols, plus 1 engineering, and then 2 blank symbols. So every single one of these hero dice is different. They have a different sort of combination of different faces there. Now the command symbol, I believe, is like a bit of a wild symbol. So if you roll that, you can treat it as a firepower or a science or an engineering. I believe it's quite a wild sort of symbol there. However, if one of your missions specifically requires a command symbol, then you have to specifically be looking for that command symbol. So unless you've got a couple of heroes with the command symbol, if you come across an away mission that has that, you're not going to be able to complete it unless you've got some sort of other special rule as well. Okay, so Hercule sounds pretty good, but we can't get him because he's worth 5. So what's the other 2 are worth 4 though. So these 2 we could get. So we may as well. So let's have a look at these 2. We have Pathos, who looks like some sort of a giant nebulous cloud with crystals. Xeno, so it's some sort of alien we can hire. A complex sentient gas cloud, overly concerned with maintaining balance in the universe. So quite handy, has like a face with 2 science, 2 medical, and 2 firepower symbols there. So that's quite handy, but a bit sort of spread out, a bit random. So, you know, if you're looking specifically for one of those, it's I guess not the best, but also has these 2 clouds, and that's send a crew member to the infirmary. So that's actually a negative, that's a penalty. So I guess Pathos is quite powerful, but also maybe inadvertently sometimes like gasses out some of the crew. So yeah, maybe that's quite powerful. So there's a bit of an effect there. So I'm not sure we want to start with that one straight away, spend all our money on something that's going to hurt us potentially. Let's have a look at Solus. Human smuggler, okay. He's a bit lazy, but good at what he does. Okay, so ship modules and upgrades cost 1 less credit to a minimum of 1. So that's quite handy. So a lot of blanks there, but does have 2 firepower and 2 commands. So you could really change that into anything. That's quite versatile. And then another command there. I think this is what we're going to go with, okay? Yeah, this guy seems like he's, we'll ignore his shady past and we'll hire him, okay? Because I like the idea of being able to afford other things for cheaper, because I have also found that it takes me a while to sort of get going. I don't get a lot of credits from some of these fleets and things because I get sometimes get beaten up by them. So being able to sort of afford things with a limited amount of money might help us sort of get off the ground a bit faster. So we'll see how he goes. So we'll put him down in our crew section. And here we have, that's Solus's dice there. So we'll put that down. We could put it in here. I sometimes like to put them on the cards just to remind me I've got the different cards there. We'll see if I keep doing that or not. Okay. So I'm guessing that he's not going to give us the credit for himself, so that's going to cost us the discount, I should say. Oh, and I've just realized this is ship modules. Probably the rest of you got this straight away, but it is ship modules, not crew. So he's going to make it a lot easier for us to get the ship stuff, but not specifically the crew. But I guess he's not a people smuggler. He's just a regular smuggler. So we'll spend our 4. And so that was our first action, was to purchase someone from this way station here. And our second action, no point going to the way station again. I'm not even sure if you're allowed to go there twice, and that's a good question. But we don't have any money, so I'm not really sure that I want to travel anywhere else. A, we don't have money to buy anything from the shipyards, and B, there's a couple of events that we're going to need to deal with straight away. So we'll go into the encounter phase. Now, in the encounter phase, you can see if there are any combats, okay? So if there are any enemy fleets at a planet that we are at, we have to resolve that combat. And if there are multiple fleets there, we have to sort of work our way through multiple fleets as well. And then if we survive the enemy fleets at that planet, and there are any distress beacons, we can then choose one distress beacon to go and sort of investigate and try and complete that mission. I think there's a character that allows you to do multiple distress beacons in a turn, but generally, no, you can only do one, which is, I guess, one of the reasons why things can get away from you if and you can lose if a planet builds up 6 and you haven't been able to deal with that. So distress beacons, so that's what we're doing. There's no combat here, there's no enemy fleet here, so we're just going to go straight to the distress beacon part of this encounter phase. After all fleet tokens are resolved, resolve one distress beacon token, Prime beacon tokens must be resolved first, and that's what we're going to have to do now. So this one's not going to be too complicated because both of these missions are very, very basic, but we'll have a look at them. Okay, so we're on this location. We cannot choose the 00 because this other one is a prime mission, so we're going to look at 6-2. So this away mission, the way these work is generally you pick up all your available crew dice and you roll them, and then you assign any of the symbols that you get to specific locations that you're looking for. In this case, the reason this is going to be very easy is because there's no specific symbol. So essentially all we need to do is roll the dice, get at least one face. Now I'm not sure if it's a blank, if you can even assign blanks. I'm going to assume no for now, and we can look it up later. But we just need to get one facing. Now generally what happens is when you roll the dice, and we'll do that now. We've got plenty of, wow, okay. What a waste. That was a good roll. Okay, I don't think we're going to roll that later when we need all those symbols. But what you're looking for is, the symbols that you need. And if you haven't completed everything that's on that objective from that one roll, then you need to send one dice that you haven't assigned to the infirmary, and then roll any other dice that you haven't assigned, again trying to get to that number, or trying to get all of those different symbols that you're looking for filled up. And because you have to send one dice to the infirmary for each reroll that you do, you're eventually going to run out of dice, and that's how you fail the away missions. Okay, so even though you get to keep re-rolling, you're re-rolling with less dice. Now, the reason I did say earlier that medics are good on away missions, because what happens with them is if you've rolled medics and you haven't assigned them to one of the spots, then when you do your re-roll, you don't need to send anyone to the infirmary. So as long as you've rolled medic symbols, you can sort of keep re-rolling without sort of losing the number of dice that you've got. Okay, but if you do assign a medic to one of the symbols on the cards, you don't get to trigger that ability. So you want to hope that you maybe rolled a couple of medics to get that happening in that situation. But in this case, I've got lots of dice there. So let's say for rest and recuperation, we entered a science fair and we won first prize. So that made us feel really good about ourselves. We've succeeded with that mission. We don't need to do any more rerolls. There are no successes, no failures. So we just take that distress beacon token and that card. I'll put them over here, I guess, out of the way. And we've been successful with that encounter phase. That's all done. There's no rewards. So we now go into the resolution phase. And in the resolution phase, we have to draw and place a new distress beacon. So every turn, another beacon's going to turn up. So if we're not dealing with at least one distress a turn at a planet, they're just going to keep sort of building up. And then we need to resolve any hazard effects. So on these events and different cards, there might be hazard effects. And for any of those that are existing out on the board at this stage, you trigger those. And then we're going to draw a threat detected card, and that will tell us where the enemy fleets are turning up. So let's go through that step by step. Okay, so let's go in and get a vent. Oh gosh, the bag's a bit small. Here we go. All right, got one. Oh, okay. I was hoping for a number so we can try and find one of these microchips, but what do we got? That says don't panic. So that's essentially a nothing happens. So the next step is drawing a threat detected card. So let's have a look. It says new fleet. So if you draw a card like this, you always put a new fleet out at whatever planet it says to do so. This is at Terra. So wow, it's all happening at Terra. So we have to create a new fleet of 2 enemy ships at Terra. So we've got, take 2 off the top of the deck there. Now we don't look at these. We put these down on top of each other, and I guess we'll just put them next to Terra here. And then what you're supposed to do, this is probably the my biggest nitpick with the game, is that I've got to sort of search through here now looking for 2 matching tokens amongst a whole bunch of different ones. to show which planet the fleet is. Oh, here we go. Is that a 3 and a 3? No, it's 3 and a 13. I'll use the magic of the editing to quicken this. So we have fleet number 9, enemy fleet number 9 have shown up here. So you put one little token showing that that's fleet 9, and we show this to show where that fleet is in the galaxy or in the solar system. I guess it's galaxy. And so we know that's where that is. All right. So that's the end. So that's the end of the round. We've placed our enemy ships. We would have placed a new distress beacon showing us where else we needed to go in the galaxy to start helping out. And now it goes to the next round. So we start in the planning phase again. Now in this case, we don't really need to go anywhere. So I'm thinking I might I could fly over here, and I'm not sure why I would do that. I can't afford anything, so I guess I'll just stay where I am. So I'm just going to go straight into the encounter phase. And first thing I have to do is deal with this enemy fleet. And then hopefully, if I can get through that enemy fleet with Solus here helping us out, then we will also be in place to deal with this distress beacon, which will then clear us of this, which essentially is like another mission that's just sort of taking up space and not really giving us anything. So yeah, we'll see how we go. All right, so let's take the Hades out for a spin. We're going to engage this enemy fleet here. So what you're supposed to do is, I think you're supposed to, you place the ships out in the order that you flip them over in, I guess, because when you trigger how they act, you go from the card in the front of the line from left to right. I believe it's left to right, and that can affect things because of their shields or the way their different attacks work. They might knock down your shields before the next ship then attacks your hull, whereas if they were the other way around, the ship might be coming up against your shield first, and then not getting to do as much damage and that sort of thing. So it can be a little bit sort of random, and you can be lucky or unlucky depending on the way these ships come out. But let's have a look. We've got a Shrike and a Mirage. So the Shrike is the way these ships work. You can see these cards. You've got a hull rating, so that's how many damage points the ship takes before it's destroyed. And these little icons, these little green icons, show how many shields they have. So they're sort of like a little extra buffer health that you have to be able to do to them in combat. So looks like the Shrike is a Federation ship, and the Mirage is some sort of like a mercenary Xeno ship that's helping them out. So this Mirage has 2 shields. Okay, so we'll put these 2 shields on the actual card itself. And now I need to assign damage to those 2 first before I can take away those 2 hull points, unless I'm firing with different types of weapons. So essentially your weapons, if you have energy weapons, they will have to go through shields before you can start doing hull damage. If you have kinetic weapons that fire big bullets or whatever they might be, and cannon shells, they will go through shields and do direct hull damage. And if you have ion weapons, they will only be able to damage shields. So you can sort of try and combo those things together to get the best effects as well. Okay, so let's have a look. The special ability of the Shrike is it triggers on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. So no matter what I roll in the enemy phase, this is always going to trigger, and it's always going to do 2 energy damage. And if no other ship activates, so this ship activates on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's sort of lucky, I guess, in that we're probably unlikely for him to trigger his special ability many times. But yeah, if we roll a 6 and he doesn't activate, then the Shrike is going to do double damage. So it'll be doing 4 energy damage. So that's a bit nasty. Now, so we're either hoping for only 2 energy damage and then whatever this guy does, or the 4. So let's see. If this, the Mirage rolls 2 or a 4, it's going to do 1 energy damage. If it rolls a 1, 3, or a 5, it's going to repair its shields. Ah, interesting. Okay. and that's to all fleet ships. So if this had a shield as well, it would be repairing that shield as well. And this says, yeah, 1 shield, so that basically means I'd remove 1 damage from one of those tokens there. Interesting. All right, well, let's launch into battle. So I'll pick up my, oopsie. All right, let's launch into battle. I've got my crew dice plus Solaces here, and essentially when you are in battle, you get to roll all your dice. So if I've built up another 4 hero crew, then I would have another 4 of these dice. You get to roll big handfuls of dice, I assume, by the end of the game if you ever get there, which I haven't done yet. I do have these 2 fire stations here that I can trigger from. Essentially at this stage, they both just fire energy damage. And 1 station generally can only fire at 1 ship. So if I'm firing, let's say this weapon, for some reason I've upgraded it and it fires 3 damage or whatever it might be, I can't split that 3 damage across the 2 ships. So I guess that's handy having a couple of different fire stations there, but at this stage, if they're only doing 1 each, I'm not sure that it matters that much, but we'll see how we go. All right, so this is what a combat looks like. I'm going to roll my dice, and then I'm going to be looking. Oh, jeez. Okay, so all right. Any hope that I had that this playthrough would have a different run of luck in my dice rolls has not started out too well. Wow. Okay. So what I'd normally be looking for, any of the symbols that are on my stations here, so that I can assign them to these stations and trigger those effects. What I've rolled is a bunch of nothing, and now these medics may as well be nothing because they are useful. If I was in a bad situation, which I'm about to be, I believe, you know, if I'd rolled this the turn afterwards, I could maybe rescue a bunch of crew dice from the infirmary. And in fact, there's nothing here that's going to send crew to the infirmary. So the medics are a little bit useless in this stage. All of my attacks miss. I didn't roll any of these firepower dice, so I don't get to shoot at the Shrike or the Mirage. I don't get to repair my shields, although again, if I'd rolled shields, that wouldn't have helped me now because I haven't lost any damage. And I really haven't done anything. So now the enemies get to trigger. So what you do is you roll your dice, assign all your dice, and try and dish out as much damage and repair your ship as you can. And then before destroying any ships, you might have dished out enough damage to destroy them, but before you get to do that, you do have to trigger their event phase or their combat phase, and the enemies will attack. And then any ships that did have any damage on them would then get removed. So what I'm going to do is, it's nice. Combat's nice and simple in this case for the enemies. You just roll 1 dice, and then that 1 die triggers everything on all these cards going from left to right. So top to bottom, left to right. So in this case, we have rolled a 4. So we are going to do 2 energy damage to our Hades. So 1, 2. So we're down to 1, from 3 to 1 shield power. And then the 4 also triggers the energy damage from the Mirage as well. So that drops us down to 0 shield points. So now any extra damage that would be coming in is going to be hitting us directly in the hull. And if our hull goes down to 0, the combat is a defeat and we count as critically damaged. And if that happens one more time, then we are out of the game. So we've started really well. All right, so we've done our roll. We've done the enemy's roll. We now check to see if the enemy are destroyed. They are not. We haven't put any damage out on them at all. And so we just return now to dice assignment. Now, any dice that had been sent to the infirmary and not rescued, we wouldn't have available for this next roll, but we now just keep rolling. And combat, you just fight to the death. So we are either going to wipe these ships out or we get wiped out, unless we choose to try and escape. So that's something that we could try and do if this is looking really bad. All right, so you still end up losing the battle. You don't get any credits for defeating these ships. So one of the reasons you want to go into battle with the ships, I should have mentioned, is you get these pips in credits as a reward for defeating these ships. But interestingly, you only get the pips from the highest value pip of that type. So we're lucky we've got Federation and Xeno. If these were both Federation ships, we would only be getting 3 credits because that's the highest value from that suit. Whereas we have 2 suits here, so we actually get the 3 plus the 1 if we can defeat these ships. But if we get defeated, even if we've defeated a ship and we end up getting defeated, then we get nothing. All right. All right, we're hoping for better. Oh, now that's what we're talking about. All right. So we're still looking a little bit dicey. Interesting. We're still looking a little bit dicey with... oh, now this is interesting. Yes, I'll have to have a think about this. All right, so we're still looking a little bit dicey in that we don't have any shields, but let's have a look here. So we've got 1 engineering. Now that would be able to help us in combat if we had any systems offline. That's not the case now, so that's not going to help us out. Med bay, again, we don't have anyone in the med bay, so we're not worried about that. These 2, Solus must be sleeping in his quarters because he's not come out to help us again. But we do have these 3 firepower dice here. Now what these are going to let us do is place out 3 damage onto a ship. Now we can choose which ship we'd like. This one seems quite nasty because it's dishing out 2 energy damage every turn essentially, and potentially 4. It's got no shielding. There's nothing that says this one blocks this one with its shields or anything like that. So I think I might just assign 1, 2, 3 damage to this ship, which means that after it triggers this round, it's going to be destroyed. However, this station down here, our twin link station, says that firepower dice used in station 1 may be shared with station 2. So I believe that means that we can also trigger this station using these dice. Yes, I believe that's exactly what that means. So, yes, this system now counts as having 3 dice sitting in it as well. So I believe we can assign 3 to the Mirage. So we may as well put 1, 2, and 3. Now that's unfortunately not quite enough. Not quite enough to take out the Mirage. But I think I'm happy with that placement anyway, rather than, I suppose, well, no, I couldn't choose to put one of these over here because these 3 are specifically coming from this weapon and these 3 are coming from this weapon. And remembering that each individual weapon can't split its damage amongst ships, but the fact that this is a separate weapon does allow us to put 3 over here and 3 here. So that twin linked ability seems quite powerful, and if we can upgrade these weapons themselves, that's going to be quite nasty. So I'm hoping that's the recipe for our success, so we'll see how we go. Now we're just hoping, with no shields though, we're hoping for something not too punishing here. We know we're going to be hit with at least 2 damage to our hull here from the Shrike. And this could be really bad if the Mirage triggers. Well, if the Mirage doesn't trigger, then we could be getting hit with 4 damage. But otherwise, I guess we're getting hit with at least 3 damage here. Or maybe 2, and then it might heal itself. We'll see how we go. All right, or, recharge its shields. What have we... Oh, we've rolled a 4. Okay, so that's going to be 2 damage, 2 energy damage, which there's no shield, so it's going to go straight to the hull. And then it's going to be 1 enemy damage or energy damage from the Mirage as well. So that's for a total of 3. So we're down to 3, from 6 to 3. Okay, there we go. Nasty, but I think we won't complain about that round because that was quite lucky to be able to get these guys down so quickly. So the Shrike has been destroyed. So we'll put the Shrike over here. Now the Mirage is left limping on 1 hull point. Hopefully it won't recharge those shields. And we'll see what happens now. So we're down to 3 hull points. I think we won't worry about escaping now. We should have them on the run now. We can pick up those dice that are assigned there. They're not sort of locked in from turn to turn. No one in the infirmary. So let's try and finish this guy off. There is an ability called, I think, Quick Strike or First Strike that lets you blow up the ships before resolving the enemy turn, but we don't have that. Ooh, okay. All right, well, interesting. We haven't rolled anything. So this guy is, we're not quite putting the boot in yet, but what we can do, hopefully, is recharge our shields just to sort of buy ourselves some more time. The engineer's not going to help us out too much. There's nothing to, no systems are offline. Hopefully they're going to come in handy later when we get out of this fight, if we get out of this fight, but we are going to recharge our shields twice. So it says recharge, or it says one shield, which means recharge the shield one time, but you can assign multiple dice, just like we assigned multiple firepower dice there to do three shots. We're doing 2 shields to recharge our shields twice. So hopefully if this Mirage does attack us now, that's just going to be absorbed by the shield. So that's, we've ended a bit of a stalemate here. We'll see how we go. Both ships are looking critical. Oh, now this is interesting. Okay, so the Mirage has rolled a 5, which recharges its shield. So we just removed that damage that we've done to the shield. So now I'm going to need to do 2 damage to finish this ship off. But luckily it does not attack us. So we'll go back into the combat round. Maybe Solus will wake up and run out with one of these double attack symbols, I'm hoping. Let's see what he does. He does nothing again. We've got, whoop, but we do have, whoopsie. We do have 2 firepower symbols. So these 2 aren't going to help us out too much, but that's what we needed. However, there's 1 and 2. Now, I do believe the way this works is that the Mirage, if it now rolls a 1, 3, or a 5, is going to recharge that shield, which I believe means that it is not destroyed. Actually, having a look at the rules, I believe, because it does say so, we would remove that from the shield there. But there are 2 damage on the hull, and it does say if at the end of the enemy's turn in that next step when you check for damage, if their hull damage is equal to their hull points, then they are destroyed. So I believe we're not cheating by destroying the Mirage as well. Apologies if I am, and any mistakes that I'm making, if anyone knows, or you know, if you want to leave a comment and point out all the mistakes I'm making, that would be great too, just to help people out, making sure that we're not giving them the wrong information here. So we have, so we've survived the battle there. They've been destroyed. We don't need to worry about trying to escape ourselves. We sort of got a bit lucky there, so I won't complain about the dice too much, because we did get lucky with a couple of rolls there. And that's what dice games are all about, right? You have the highs and lows. So we get 4 credits for that. So that was quite good. Things are looking up. Okay. Maybe Solus he didn't do much, but maybe he's brought us a bit of luck. Maybe he's got a bit of the good luck about him. So hopefully we can get something out of this. Okay, so that's the end of the combat phase. So now we go into, we can get rid of this fleet symbol as well. Now we go into the next part of the encounter phase, which is the away missions. There is only one away mission on the board at the moment, and that is this first deployment. So after our initial repelling of the first contact from the Galactic Federation on Earth was repelled by us, we maybe engage in a PR company to try and come up with a name. Maybe we put out a competition on social media on Earth. Let's try it. All right, so I'm looking for at least one of these firepower symbols. Now, if I'm not successful, you only get, well, not one attempt, I guess there's rerolls, but if you're not successful, then you leave the event there, and it can be attempted by either yourself or another crew if you were playing multiplayer in further rounds. So the missions do persist even if you've failed them. But often if you fail them, you do take damage or some sort of penalty. We'll see what we get here. Okay, we've got, well now, so what we have here, we have a bunch of nothing that doesn't help us. We do have the firepower that will help us. However, this command dice here, so Solus, when all the credit's been taken, he wants to get that for himself. He's rolled this command symbol, which could be used as a wild as anything. So we could use this dice to fulfill that one firepower symbol, or we can use this. I think since he didn't really help us out that much, we're going to actually put the gunners in for commendation there. So we're creating a name for our armada. I think maybe why don't we call our armada Bodie McBoatface, if it's going to be a social media campaign. All right, so the mighty fleet of Bodie McBoatface heads out into the galaxy now. So let's find out what our first real mission is going to be. All right, so we've succeeded with that one. We'll put that over here. We can get rid of this distress beacon as well. And we go into the, so this is amazing. So you can really see that the game, it really sort of stretches out. Once you get into a combat phase, that can go for quite a long time. So that was just, all of that was just the second sort of round of the game. So the first step of the encounter phase is going through the bag again. And we've got, oh, it's another prime mission. So I wonder if this is interesting to see if these prime missions are all sort of a bit of a sort of, if any of them are actually difficult to complete, or if they're all sort of just sort of to waste your time. Let's have a look here. Oh, 45, yep. That's a pretty good search there. So Kagawa, so this is going to be over on Kagawa. Okay, sorry, things cut off a bit abruptly there, folks, but had a little bit of technical issues with the iPhone, ran out of storage space, so yeah, things cut off there a little bit abruptly. And actually, unfortunately, at the beginning of the next video, you'll see lost a bit of footage, so I try and sort of catch you up on where things are, and we'll take it from there. So hopefully this first gameplay video was all right for you. And yeah, let us know what you thought of it, or what you think of these gameplay videos in the comments. And yeah, next video, the things kick up gear a little more with the space battles and some of the away fleets too, or the away missions. So yeah, see you for the next one.